Ground control to Major Tom.
If you really bug me, then I'll say goodbye.
Good morning. Ahead of the psychiatry hour, which is between 3 and 4 this afternoon, in this first hour of the programme between 2 and 3, we turn our attention to the environment and one particular issue which takes priority in most of the infant and junior schools in Britain, primary education, but I feel gets all too little attention from the media. So between 2 and 3, we need to talk about the very latest on global warming. We're all reasonably familiar with the process which allegedly causes global warming, and that is called the greenhouse effect, but we'll get to that in just a second. I'm assuming that you're reasonably familiar with how this works and the tales of doom and disaster which are supposed to attend this particular phenomenon, although they may be some 10 or 20 years away. However, there are those who will say that the particularly unstable spring, which we've already been enjoying in inverted commas, may well have something to do with the greenhouse effect and the consequent global warming. Free call 0500 1053 89 is the telephone number, and I may be the first to put before you the very latest theory, not as to what the consequences of global warming may be, but, and this is what we like because we try to be constructive wherever possible, just how we can all play our part in mitigating the effects of global warming by reducing the impact of the greenhouse effect. Free call 0500 1053 89. We're talking science, we're talking the environment, and we will later on be talking about building. Because to cut to the chase on this one, it seems as though the nation's builders, and in particular people who are putting up considerable quantities of concrete, may just turn out to be the saviours of the planet. So it's environment, it's science, and it's also building. Free call 0500 1053 89. Now, this is the theory, and my science units say it checks out. The greenhouse effect occurs when energy and heat from the sun is bounced off the surface of planet Earth, and then bounced back to planet Earth from a tissue of detritus, one might call it pollution, which at the moment inhabits the very top layer of our atmosphere. So that what you have effectively is a type of greenhouse all the way around planet Earth, keeping in heat and keeping in certain forms of not entirely friendly energy. The result is that planet Earth is beginning to warm up. The projection is, however, that if we continue to industrialize and urbanize planet Earth at the rate which we are going, then some of the more powerful effects of global warming caused by the greenhouse effect will be reduced for the simple and obvious reason that a great deal of energy which is provided by the sun will be bounced down to planet Earth, back up to what is called the greenhouse, that is, this level of pollution, bounced back down to planet Earth, where it will bounce back out into outer space from all the concrete, tarmac and glass which we wonderful human beings are building. It's a neat theory. On first hearing, it sounds too neat. But I defy anybody to get a knife through it. Free call 0500 1053 89. Planet Earth may be saved from the worst effects of global warming, not by our forests, not by our green fields, but by our roads and by our cities and by your front drive. Free call 0500 1053 89. The message is simple. The message is this: build. We need concrete and glass, or the world as we know it is doomed. Now, nature is unpredictable. We don't know quite which way this one will go. But concrete isn't. It stays. And it's always useful. We like it. It's cheap. It works. We can all use it. I mean, it's purely an add-on bonus that it might soften the effects of global warming. Free call 0500 1053 89. What would you rather have on your doorstep, El Nino or an Arndale Centre? And it could be that this seriously is an either-or. Free call 0500 1053 89. So therefore, car parks, roads, especially 6-lane motorways, buildings, not just the taller but the more sprawling the better, housing estates, they are all part of the solution. Whereas greenbelt, parks, seasides, they're all part of the problem. Have you put down any concrete lately? It's fun, isn't it? There's nothing quite so enjoyable, for a man anyway, at a weekend, than to get out a nice piece of chipboard, tip some sand onto it, tip some concrete in there, mix it all up and spread it out. And a couple of hours later, there you've got something that nobody, barring a very strong man with a pickaxe, can ever even damage, never mind about do away with. Marvellous stuff. It's permanent. It's permanent and it's helping to save the planet. But what about this weather? I mean, I've just encountered the boss. He's only been 400 yards away from Talk Radio, and he came in looking like something the cat had dragged in. He said to me, can you believe this weather? He said to me, can you believe this? This is a busy man. And he needs to talk about the weather. We need to talk about the weather. I talked about the weather and nothing but the weather with everybody on the train this morning. What is going on with the weather? 1 minute we're sunbathing and the next minute we've got snow. And I'm not talking about a thin covering of snow. I'm talking about children causing accidents with snowballs and building snowmen in the middle of April. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Everybody stretches back. Everybody's memory goes back through a few springs. I mean, do we have something on our hands here? Is the climate beginning to heave? Science, the environment, and building. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Talk to Tommy Boyd. Free call 0500 10 53 89.
Well, let's talk to Stephen, who calls from London. Stephen, you're on Talk Radio. Hello.
Yeah, hi, Tommy. I might be being a little bit thick here, but I can't get to grips with your idea that tarmac's going to save the world.
It reflects heat and energy back into outer space, which is where it needs to go.
Yeah, but you see, it won't go back into outer space. That's what the greenhouse effect's about. If it won't go there now, tarmac ain't going to help, is it?
The greenhouse effect doesn't reflect everything back that's bounced up from planet Earth. It allows a great deal of the heat and energy to escape into space, but it reflects a significant percentage back down to Earth. This is the theory. But if all of that superfluous energy and heat is simply reflected back upwards again, then if we're allowing 75% to escape out into outer space, you can see that it only takes a couple of bounces and you're down to practically nothing.
Yeah, does it work like that? I mean, if you've got heat from the sun coming down to Earth and then it gets reflected off the tarmac that's already around, and it goes up into the atmosphere and stays there, more tarmac is just going to make more heat stay there.
Now, I can't quite see how you make that conclusion. Can you just go through that again? I've just acquainted myself with this theory, and quite frankly, I find it as plausible as the whole greenhouse effect theory. But can you just explain to me why you think more tarmac is going to make things worse?
Right, we've got a problem. I mean, there's all sorts of quagmire up in the atmosphere at the moment, and what it basically does is, as you explained earlier on, with all of the stuff that's in the stratosphere, heat comes to the Earth from the sun and gets reflected back up and stays there. Now, the problem isn't the heat that gets reflected out to space, it's all the stuff that's in the atmosphere stopping the heat from getting out.
Stopping some of the heat and energy from escaping.
Yeah, but I see your point, but
The point? I didn't invent this. I'm not that clever.
Well, it's kind of logical when you think about it.
Isn't it? Isn't it, the butt?
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah.
It's strange I was going to come up and have a go at you anyway, but like everybody else does. But I was speaking to my mate this morning about the seasons, and have you noticed that we've only got 3?
Yes.
And I was also saying, so I've said for quite some time...
Which one's gone then? Winter?
I don't know how it's particularly working at the moment. It's going sort of winter, spring, summer.
Yeah.
Spring, summer, autumn. And then summer, autumn, winter.
I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah, they're out of sync. I mean, look at last year. We had sun in September.
Everybody knows what you're saying. Something's going on, isn't it?
Oh, definitely.
Stephen, thank you for your call. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Paul calls from Cheshire. You're on Talk Radio. Paul, good afternoon.
Greetings, Tommy.
Greetings.
I don't think it'll work. Nice idea, but have you ever kind of put your hand on a road in summer? It does get rather warm underneath your fingers, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if the heat is absorbed by the tarmac, then it's going to be conducting downwards through the base of the road into the earth anyway. So your solution will work.
No. You're not a scientist, are you?
Well, I am actually. Yeah, but go on.
Are you? Okay. What would you rather put your hand on then, in hot weather? A sheet of
water.
In sunny weather, a sheet of metal,
Well, that's the last one I'd like.
Or a plank of wood?
Oh, indeed, the plank of wood has got the lower heat coefficient.
Now, why is that?
Metal absorbs heat.
Metal reflects heat, my sweet. What sort of a scientist are you?
A molecular scientist, actually.
Right, well, you must have noticed that a car is hotter than a wooden park bench in the summer.
Yes, because it's absorbed the heat.
No, because it's reflecting it.
It's reflecting...
The heat.
The heat? Well, hang on.
Yes, hang on, I will.
No, you're wrong here, Tommy. You are wrong. I assure you.
Well, I'm sorry, it's no good when you've got the evidence right in front of you, which proves that you're wrong and I'm right, to simply say, no, I don't believe you.
On the contrary.
What would Newton have done if he simply said, no, I've just seen the second law of motion with my own eyes, but I don't believe it. It doesn't tally.
No, when you put your hand on metal in summer,
yes,
the metal is hotter in your hand because it's absorbed the heat from the sun. It does reflect it back if you hold your fingers a couple of inches or within an inch above, but that's because the metal is hotter than the air around it.
Have you ever done any serious sunbathing?
Try not to.
Serious sunbathers like to find a sun trap. What is that?
Somewhere without a breeze.
Nope.
Indirect. Well,
somewhere with enough concrete surfaces to reflect as much of the sun's rays back and back and back at them from every angle. They don't sit near a tree.
That's the ultraviolet.
Yes, well, it wants to be reflected back into space, doesn't it? You don't need it. It's all contributing to the greenhouse effect.
Oh, I agree that greenhouse effect is genuine, but I'm not sure your solution is correct.
But you haven't presented any reason why not, except the natural obstinacy of science to listen to art.
Oh, well, I'm glad you didn't resort to religion there. No, I don't know what's artistic about frying in the sun, but there are three types of heat. There's there's radiation, conduction, and
convection.
Convection.
Yeah.
That's it. I haven't got a convection heater. Sorry about that.
Okay, not to worry about it. The art of it comes in seeing concrete potentially as our friend, and it could turn out to be that way.
Well, I have my doubts. I think the heat will still conduct down to the earth. So, well, all right. How about this for a solution then? You know these little bits of polystyrene you get in packing cases? Just have 6 inches of that on the earth.
That's bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
I'm sorry, this is a science show, Paul.
Well, actually, whilst if you're worried about the greenhouse effect, I think there's a genuine effect, but I think in Britain here, we should be more concerned about the Gulf Stream, because if that packs in, our winters are going to be like Newfoundland.
I'm not interested in scientists with their health warnings.
Well, just emigrate.
My son came home from school the other day and he said, Dad, when will the sun explode?
Well, and I said, billions of years. Well, it'd have to go through a red giant first.
Hold showing off. Just answer me this. How do you explain billions of years to a 7-year-old? They don't know what 10 minutes from now means.
Well, right.
So
well,
what do you
scientists... Their perspective on the universe, isn't it?
No, it isn't.
No, I think you've had a programme on this, haven't you? How time is different.
No, it's scientists rattling people's cages. Nobody takes any notice of you scientists unless you're frightening us.
Well, that's what we're there for.
He said it. Have we that on tape? That's what we're there for. The world of molecular science speaking with its hand on its heart. Free call 0500 10 53 89 is the telephone number. We're discussing the environment, in particular global warming, and also building, and science, and the weather. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
89 now.
And then there's that deeply felt school of thought which says that global warming wouldn't do Britain any harm at all. We would simply enjoy the same climate which at the moment they enjoy in the south of France. Bougainville up the side of the house. Vines growing in the back garden. You could live with that. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Laura calls from Farnborough. You're on Talk Radio. Laura, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Contrary to what your last caller was talking about as a scientist, I'm not a religious fanatic, but I would like to bring God into the situation. He created the heaven and the earth, all the universe. The ultimate destiny of the earth lies within his hands. Unfortunately, man is taking upon himself an enormous burden insofar as he thinks he can solve problems without referring to the master maker who is God. If a lot more people turned to God and asked for help and guidance, there would be no fear at all of anything. I know awful things are happening at the moment. This is the work of man. It's not the work of God. The ultimate destiny of the earth lies with God, and that is my faith. That is what the Bible teaches. Jesus told us whilst he was on earth, he told his apostles about the signs to look for at the last days.
Yes, but does metal reflect heat?
Metal certainly does reflect heat.
Exactly, so you agree with me.
I do agree with you.
But it doesn't say that in the Bible, does it?
No, because I think in biblical times metal hadn't been...
Exactly, so you work this one out for yourself?
Yes, well God has given man the intelligence to probe the earth for all its ingredients, which include metal ores. I can speak as a former archaeologist of 10 years standing in, dealing with the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, finding evidence of very, very simple folk who actually managed to extract ores from the earth.
They just reconstructed the face of Cheddar Man. Did you see those pictures?
The face of Cheddar Man?
Cheddar Man, they're calling him.
No, I haven't heard of Cheddar Man.
His skull is 10,000 years old, and they've actually managed to produce a plaster version of what he probably looked like.
I presume that's from Cheddar Gorge, is
Yes.
it from the cave?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that's very interesting.
It is.
Tell me a bit more, because I haven't heard of Cheddar Man.
Well, he's not anywhere near as old as Box Tree Man.
Boxgrove.
Grove Man, no. What I was wanting to ask you was, being an archaeologist...
Yes.
And somebody who believes the Bible...
Yes.
What's your spin on the Bible saying that God got up to his construction work about 4,000 years ago, and the world of archaeology saying that Cheddar Man lived 10,000 years ago?
Oh, well, I can answer that also as a very interested person in geology. One of my hobbies is collecting fossils. I think that time, we cannot comprehend time, as we can't comprehend the boundaries of the universe. It's totally impossible. I've often thought about the stars stretching out and out and out for miles and miles.
Yes.
And
The point's still back over here.
Sorry?
The point is still back over here. Or are you saying that...
I'll bring you back over here.
Yeah, back to the business about time. It's a small point, but a key one.
Right. Well, from my archaeological evidence, I have dealt with details of people who lived in Britain, down in the West Country, about 6,000 years ago. But they are not the oldest people on the earth.
So how does what have we got to say then to Genesis, which says that it happened about 4,500 years ago the earth was created? Because that can't be quite right, can it?
Well, no, I don't take the Old Testament literally.
That's handy. That's good enough. That's fair enough.
I think the Old Testament, the Adam and Eve story, for example, I think that's purely a symbolic story of how man and woman came into being.
And as far as you're concerned, when it comes to global warming, we should just leave it up to God.
We should leave it to God.
Okay, thank you for your call. Free call 0500 1053 89. Brian calls now from Liverpool. You're on Talk Radio, Brian. Hello.
Hello, Tommy.
Good afternoon.
I'll get straight to my point. With the little experience I have of the world, I see it this way. Laying more tarmac would surely mean more heat will be reflected that travels into the atmosphere from the sun, and it'll be reflected back through the atmosphere. Therefore, more heat will be caught up in the greenhouse, leading in the atmosphere, the ozone, contributing to the greenhouse effect. Therefore, more tarmac means more heat being reflected, and therefore a greater problem for us humans down on the earth.
Okay. But again, the layer of pollution that we have at the top of the atmosphere, which is called which is likened unto a greenhouse. I'm speaking a bit biblically here. Likened unto a greenhouse, is not a pane of glass, is it? Or if it is, it's a cracked pane of glass. It doesn't retain all the heat and energy that's bounced back from the surface of planet Earth. The majority of it is still lost in space.
Well, I can't remember where I heard it. humans only contribute 1% of the greenhouse to 1% of the greenhouse effect with aerosols in the 80s and so different things like that. But
can I just detain you for a second where we were, and then we can move on to the point that you're raising, which is a good one. It seems to me that, supposing the amount of heat and energy arriving on planet Earth from the sun in a given day shall be called 100.
Yep.
Of that, let's say 25 is absorbed by planet Earth.
Yep.
All right? And 50 is reflected back up.
Yep.
Now, that means that half of the sun's energy and heat goes back up towards space, where previously 49 was allowed into space and 1 was allowed back to Earth. Now let's give it the blackest possible scenario. 25 goes into space, 25 is bounced back again. But if we can bounce it back up into space once it's weakly come back down again, all right?
Yep.
And the second time of asking, what's left will be almost negligible. That's the theory. Hey, that's just the theory.
Yeah, but you're proposing that we make more tarmac.
Yes.
Where would we put this tarmac?
Or wherever, at the moment we have mud.
Wherever available.
Concrete is our friend.
Yeah. But, the way I see it, if more heat will be reflected up than is being reflected now.
Yes, but we don't want this heat. This is the problem.
Well, the original percentage will be changing because there's going to be more heat reflected up.
Well, we don't want to absorb it, because that's just heating up the planet.
Yeah.
And may I say your clock is about 30 seconds slow?
I know, yeah. I'll have to get onto that. I'll change it.
I wouldn't worry.
Okay.
But remember, with clocks, fast is better. Then you're more likely to be on time.
That's right. That's very true, that, Tom. Okay, well, I have a greater understanding of the world than I did before.
And we have a broader picture of your home.
Okay.
Fair swap, isn't it, really? Nice to talk to you.
Oh, and you.
What a nice person. Daniel calls now from Great Yarmouth. You're on Talk Radio, Daniel. Good afternoon to you.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
I'd just like to talk about your point about covering the world with concrete. It's all very well, but it does have one vital flaw. If the whole world is covered in concrete, then the world wouldn't be able to absorb rainwater, and that would lower the water table.
You're right.
Unless we want hosepipe bans,
yes,
then we shouldn't cover the earth in concrete.
You're right. And this is what we will call the concrete floor. Any way you spell it.
Okay, then.
Mind you, we're not going to concrete over the sea, are we?
Well, no.
But does the sea help reflect the sun's energy and heat back into space?
Well, the sea absorbs a lot of the sun's heat, and it reflects it more slowly than land does.
Right. Right, so if we were a complete ball of water, but we still had the same level of detritus at the top of the atmosphere, would we be facing a problem?
Well, yeah, we wouldn't have anywhere to live.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, did you not see that Kevin, what's his name, film?
No.
Costner?
No.
Waterworld?
No.
Dreadful movie.
Yeah? No,
Doesn't matter.
I didn't see that.
No, don't blame you. I don't think anybody did. But it's about what happens when the Earth's water level rises and covers all the land, and everybody has to live in jet skis and things.
Well, yeah, actually, I think it would. We wouldn't be facing so much of a problem if the world was covered in water, because the sea would absorb a lot more of the sun's energy, reflecting a lot less.
Do you do much science at school? I'm assuming you still go to school.
Yeah. A bit. I'm top science.
You're top science?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you enjoy it?
That's okay.
It's okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Do they tend to introduce you to the world of science at school at the moment by giving you what would be called abstract science, which is just talking about natural phenomenon? Or do they try and make it real to you by talking to you about things like global warming?
Yeah, they do talk a lot about global warming.
They do?
We did a bit about that recently.
I'll bet you did.
And the way carbon dioxide affects the way that the world is heating up and the greenhouse effect.
Yeah. When are you back at school?
Sorry?
When are you back at school?
Next week on Monday.
Oh, well, enjoy the rest of the holes.
Okay.
Great to talk to you.
Thanks.
Thanks for your call.
Bye.
Peter's now on the line from Hove. Peter, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Home with the seagulls. Yes, absorption and reflection depend as much on the colour as on the material. Now, if you put your hand on a white-coloured car in the summer, it will be comparatively cool. If you put your hand on a black car, you can't stand it for a minute, a minute second, because it will be too hot to handle.
No, I'm not sure that's... Have you tried it?
Yeah, it is absolutely correct.
Have you tried it?
It's a well-known experiment in primary schools where they take the children out to the car park and say, now, which car do you think will be the hottest?
Now, you hold your horses, Buster. I'm here to tell you that there are no black cars anymore. Ford is dead.
Dark blue cars.
What?
Dark blue cars.
Oh, you're changing your story now.
No, I say it's the change of colour. The lighter the colour, the more it reflects. The darker the colour, the more it absorbs. That's why people wear white hats in the summer if they're sensible, and black hats in the winter if they're sensible.
Gary Player always wore black when he was at the height of his powers.
Therefore, actually, concrete reflects more than tarmac. Tarmac absorbs a tremendous amount because of its material and because of its colour.
So you're in favour of...
Tarmac will melt.
Yes, you're in favour of concrete roads?
Sorry?
You're in favour of concrete roads within the parameters of this theory?
Because tarmac... Well, there's the only snag is concrete perhaps tends to crack, but tarmac tends to suffer more from traffic and from sunshine and the elements than concrete does. But I'm not afraid of concreting the whole of the landscape.
But why do you live in Hove then?
That is historical reasons.
Well, as it may be, but you've made your choice.
Because a relative had to live in Hove, and I came to look after the relative, and I stayed here. Mm. But I used to live in Bradford in Yorkshire.
Yes.
Aye. Ireland, aye.
Ireland. All right, now, Peter, I respect everything that you have said.
It is quite true.
Except the bit about cars.
I was specialised in science at school.
That is baloney.
Did you teach science when you taught?
No, I didn't.
Ah, you see.
But I was top in my year in physics.
I studied science up to sixth form level.
Did you?
Yes,
All right, well, what is Newton's second law of motion, then?
Second law of motion? I can't remember now, because that's too long ago.
Ah.
But I know his laws of motions. Action and reaction are equal, and a body tends to remain in motion until it meets another body.
Yes, I think that's more biology, isn't it?
Well, it depends upon where your mind goes, doesn't it?
Yes. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, but that is biology too, if you like. Peter, I'm a betting man, and I'm going to bet you a £5, right, that a white car...
So that's a bit mean, isn't it?
...feels hotter...
You mean £50?
A white car feels hotter than a black car in the summer.
Well, the trouble is we can't prove the bet, but I know different, because I've tried the experiment many times after being introduced to it by a primary school that I was visiting. Yes, and I used to have a white, when I drove, I used to have a white fluffy thing on the back of my seat in the summer to reflect because it was a black...
I don't want to know
Have you ever sat in a black leather car?
I don't want to know about the white floppy thing in the back of your car.
No.
I don't want to know about that at all. And whilst we're on the subject, we wear white hats because, and you're old enough to realise this, if you wear a black hat, it means you're Lee Van Cleef, and you will be shot. It's just a fashion thing, man.
No.
Yes,
rubbish.
Yes. Yes.
And have you ever sat on the seat of a PVC or leather car in a black, when it's been in the sunshine?
That's the material. That is the material, again, and not the colour.
No, it's the colour.
Do you know what, Peter? I'll tell you what.
It is very much the colour.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to stand by this bet, all right? But we'll see what other people say. Thank you for your call.
Yeah, OK.
Nice to talk to you. Free call 0500 10 53 89. So go on, what does feel hotter in the sunshine? A white car or a black car? It has to be a white car, surely, doesn't it? Alan calls from Norwich.
Hello?
You're on Talk Radio, Alan. What do you think?
I think your maths is wrong, Tommy. And if you're throwing your money around, I'll have some of that.
Well, what's hotter then in the sunshine, a white car or a black car?
Black.
You just want that to be the case.
No.
You're just picking a fight.
Hang on, let's take these sun rays coming into the world, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, you got 100. Let's give it the number 100.
Yeah.
It comes in as 100.
Yeah.
You're saying 50 reflected, 50 goes back.
Yeah.
When it hits the top level of atmosphere, it comes back again as 150 because there's another 100 coming in with it.
Well, that will be happening anyway. I mean, that's always happening.
Yeah, but then it becomes 150.
No, it does not.
Then we get the 50 reflected back.
No, excuse
therefore
me.
100.
No, excuse me. It does not become 150. It remains 50.
Oh, but it's joined by another 100 coming in at the same time.
Well, we have to deal with that the next day.
No, it's the same next day.
Yes, I'm talking about what happens in the course.
It's rather slow, don't you think?
Look, I drew up the rules. In the course of a day, heat and energy from the sun...
The best thing this world could do is to breed black cats, and everyone has about a dozen black cats. They soak up the heat.
Do they really?
Absolutely.
I know they're good for something.
Black, matte, anything that's black and furry is going to be absolutely our friend in the future.
Speaking of matte black,
yeah.
Why is all audio equipment matte black?
I haven't the faintest idea. I think it's ugly.
And why are all televisions that sort of matte grey?
I don't know.
You get houses, don't you, with beautiful pastel...
I think that just that the fashion is so dictated to us, isn't it? It's a mechanical age.
Nobody lives in that K.D. Lang kind of...
Apart from K.D. Lang,
90s, 1990 fashion anymore. I mean, people live in homes now.
Well, there is I mean, people are slowly turning back to Victoriana, aren't they? They're getting back to the frivolities of life.
That was mahogany and stuff, though, wasn't it? It wasn't...
yeah, it was far better looking than black plastic, though, wasn't it?
Matte black. Alan, thank you very much indeed for your contribution. And you think that a black car would feel hotter in the sunshine than a white car?
Top of physics, Tommy.
I don't think you're right, but anyway, thank you for your call.
You're going to lose a lot of money.
I've got a lot of money to lose. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Free call 0500 10 53 89. 0500 10 53 89.
That's the telephone number. It's Talk Radio. My name's Tommy Boyd. Between 2 and 4, Monday to Friday, we look at the world from what we consider to be a slightly different perspective and talk about whatever is worth talking about the way that it gets talked about. So you're on board. Our number again is free call 0500 10 53 89. And between 3 and 4 this afternoon, psychiatry and the workings of each and every one of our minds is the topic. But between 2 and 3 this afternoon, we've been talking about a new theory which suggests that the worst effects of the so-called greenhouse effect, greenhouse phenomena, namely global warming, can be reduced or mitigated provided we continue to build as much with concrete and tarmac and glass as we are at the moment. Luke is our next caller on this one, and he calls from Bristol. Hello, Luke.
Hi, Tommy.
Welcome to Talk Radio.
I'm just correct you on two things you said so far today. Firstly, the black car would be a lot hotter than the white car because black absorbs heat and white reflects it.
Right.
And I know this because we did an experiment in physics about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Okay, and we had a little heat lamp, and we had a black shield on one side and a white shield on the other. And on the side, like behind the shields, there was a coin stuck to it with wax. And no matter how long we left the white shield there, the coin never fell off, but the black shield lost its coin straight away because of the heat. The wax melted.
Yeah, sounds a bit nutty, Professor, to me.
Oh, it's a strange teacher, but there you go.
Yeah, not kidding. I mean,
but it proves the point.
Well, only if you believe BBC Two. It's the kind of thing you get there at 6:30 in the evening. Still, nevertheless, you at least have tried a practical experiment. And
also, with the metal absorbs heat, and that is why it feels hot when you touch it. And the reason that it feels hot like a couple of centimetres away or whatever is because once it's absorbed the heat, it radiates it.
Yes.
So, I mean, if concrete's hot as well, when you touch it, that means it absorbs the heat, and therefore it doesn't reflect the heat.
Yes.
So your idea's no good.
Well, all right, then in that case, if the pollution at the top of our atmosphere is bouncing heat and energy back down to Earth, how come the pollution that we've got down here, which is the greater, isn't bouncing it back out into outer space?
Sorry?
Yeah, I'll bet you are.
Yeah.
Your head's on a pole, mate.
I love that bit there.
It's all right, isn't it?
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't explain that one.
No.
I just got you on the two heat things there.
2-1 then, how's that?
Okay.
Away goals count double.
Oh, you're going to get me on technicality, it's not fair.
No, I'll get you on the second leg.
Penalties.
I hate them. Mind you, I'll tell you what, I do hope that they spend the whole of the fortnight before the World Cup, both England and Scotland, practising penalties, because it will come down to that.
Penalties are great when your team's not involved.
No, I love penalties.
Yeah.
I do think they should blast them.
They should just whack them at the middle.
Yeah, not try and place them high, but just whack them.
Yeah.
Whack them. Like Gareth Southgate's mum said after the German match. Why didn't you whack it, love?
Yeah.
And she was right.
He would have scored.
Isn't it great conversation? It's completely organic.
Nothing to do with what we were talking about earlier.
It's like leaf mould. Thanks for your call.
All right.
Did enjoy talking to you. Fred's next in Reigate. Fred, you're on Talk Radio. Welcome, sir.
Hello, Tommy.
Fred.
Yes, unfortunately, the previous caller stolen my thunder. He's absolutely right about the white and the black car.
And curtains. 3-call 10 53 89. The number's 3-call 10 53 89. Yes, the airport.
In that tarmac reflects heat, it doesn't, it absorbs it. Concrete absorbs heat, but does reflect a little more than the black tarmac. But overall, the effect is absorption.
The tarmac reflects more heat back into space than mud.
Well, mud, of course, is wet, you see, and solids heat up from the sun more than water. For instance, the sea takes an awful long time to warm up, whereas the land will warm up during the day.
Concrete reflects more heat and energy back into space than sand.
I wouldn't say so. No, it's probably about the same, I would think. If you've ever been on a hot beach with bare feet, you'll understand what I mean. The sand absorbs a hell of a lot of heat. It does reflect back a little, but it absorbs more than it reflects.
So what are we going to do?
Well,
at least I had an idea.
The global warming side of it, I'm not all that sure about. As I understand it, it's due to a hole in the ozone layer. Is that correct?
No, that's a different worry.
Oh, that's a different worry.
We do that worry in the fourth year.
See, that's UV rays and things that...
Second year is the rainforests.
Yeah.
Third year it's global warming. Fourth year it's the ozone layer. And then the fifth year it's the sun exploding.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Because our children aren't getting anxious.
Well, it's a long time ago since I was doing that sort of thing.
They didn't used to frighten children when you were a boy?
Not with that sort of thing, anyway. No. But I'll tell you what, another example. I don't know if you remember, I'm the chap who explained to you what fog was some time ago.
How could I forget?
Well, a good example of this is that you cannot get fog with a cloud overlay.
No.
And the reason is that as the sun heats the ground during the day, normally you need a radiation at night for fog to form.
Yes.
But the cloud comes across, therefore you don't lose the heat from the ground, and therefore the surrounding air is not lowered to its dew point.
Yes. So you can only get fog if it's a clear night?
If it's radiation fog, yes. But there are other ways of getting fog, for instance, like moist air being forced up the side of a mountain.
You know the ship that was 10 miles away from the Titanic when it went down?
I've heard about it, yeah.
Even though it was a starry night, so there were no clouds.
Yeah.
Allegedly couldn't see the Titanic signalling distress.
Yeah.
Because there was fog.
Well, it could have been sea fog, you see, which is an entirely different sort of fog. It's a bit like saying it's a different sort of rain or a different sort of snow. It's the reason, it's exactly the same effect, but it's the way it's caused that's different, you see.
Fred, thank you for your call. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Let's talk to Chris, who calls from Swansea. You're on Talk Radio, Chris.
What are you talking about, cover the earth in concrete and stuff? We ought to cover it in plants. Because carbon dioxide, is one of the main causes of the heat being bounced back to Earth. And the sun's energy is another factor. But plants use both carbon dioxide and the sun's energy in photosynthesis. So rather than throwing it away, why don't we use it?
So, what have you planted recently?
I just done my garden and put a new lawn down and whatever.
Yeah.
And trees, yeah.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
Yes, you've done that to help save planet Earth.
Yes, I have.
It's a good point, Chris. I must admit, I prefer your theory to the one that we've been discussing this hour, but we had to kick it around. You've got to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back to the garden, then.
And the ship that was next to the Titanic.
Yeah.
Was the Carpathia.
No, the Carpathian was the one that made it to the Titanic. The ship that we're talking about was 10 miles away when the Titanic went down. Could have got there in about 30 minutes, but never bothered.
Was it?
The Carpathian was 40 nautical miles away.
Oh, right. I didn't know that. Thank you.
Ain't no big thing.
Oh, right, okay.
Not at all.
I just thought I'd tell you that anyway.
Well, and I thought I'd tell you that.
Okay.
That's a fair swap, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks.
Bye. The number's free call, 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There is a good argument for listening.
Talk to Tommy Boyd. Free call 0500 10 53 89.
Between 3 and 4, the psychiatrist will see you now. if you have found yourself having a recurring dream or dreams, if you have found yourself or know somebody who is the victim of an inferiority complex, or if they suffer from guilt, or you yourself suffer from what you consider to be overt shyness, if you have a habit that you want to break, whether it's cigarettes or touching wood, whatever, if you feel that you may be developing an anxiety that could be moving towards a neurosis, or if you have a phobia, however common or unusual, free call 0500 10 53 89 from 3 o'clock this afternoon. The psychiatrist will see you now. But we still have a few moments left in which to explore a possible solution to the greenhouse effect, and Ian calls from Portsmouth. You're on Talk Radio, Ian.
Hello. In hot countries, they have solar panels on their roofs to heat the water.
Yes.
They are matte black, they're made of metal, and they absorb heat, they don't reflect it. So that's basically all I want to say. You were saying earlier on that metal reflects heat?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't, it absorbs it.
Yes, it absorbs it. It absorbs it if it's black, I accept that, but that doesn't mean to... What we were talking about was what is hotter to the touch. The difference between a white metal object and a black metal object in sunlight, my guess was it's negligible.
No, black is much hotter because it's radiating out more heat.
And again, I don't concur with the observations about the colour of solar panels.
It does, yeah.
I'm sorry, I lived for a while in what was one of the few houses in Britain solely powered by solar heating.
Yeah.
And they weren't black, man.
Well, if you go to Greece or somewhere like that, they're all black on the roofs. I mean, they're not black because they look nice, because they don't.
I'm not going to Greece to find out why the solar panels on my house didn't work. They didn't work because we didn't get enough sun, of course.
Of course, yeah.
Of course. But they weren't black. They weren't black.
Well, black definitely absorbs more heat.
Agreed, that's why Gary... And was Gary Player right to only ever wear black when he played golf, which he is still doing, in actual fact? He won 162 tournaments in his career, more than anybody else. He only ever wore black because he said it absorbed the sun's goodness.
Well, it absorbs the sun's heat, yes.
Heat? Anything else?
Oh, well, I don't know about goodness.
No, so he was a bit of a wacko there.
Probably.
Fair dues.
But yes, it definitely absorbs more heat than something white.
Mind you, I don't know if you know your football, but those referees, they never stop, do they? Don't they bustle about the pitch in that diagonal of theirs?
Yeah.
Yeah? Good to talk to you. Thank you for your call, Ian. David calls now from Rochester. You're on Talk Radio. David.
Oh, hello, Tommy. Yes, well, I'm giving the same argument away. I'm an architect, and when we occasionally build flat roofs, which are normally made out of asphalt, asphalt, to stop them melting or creeping around, we have them with a light coat of marble, or sometimes you'll even see old roofs painted silver, because if you leave them black, the building's unbearably hot inside. You have to put a light coating on the top to reflect the heat.
Are you quite certain that's the reason, and not just for the look of the thing?
Tom, that's what they taught me when I was at college.
How many black buildings do you see?
This afternoon, I'm not sure whether that's true or whether it's just what they told us, and I keep doing it.
David, thank you. That word from the building trade, I'm grateful. As long as they pay, eh, mate? Matt gets the last word on this topic from London. Matt, you're on Talk Radio.
Hello, Tommy. I'd just like to say that you're completely wrong in your theory. Basically, the problem is that you're confusing light and heat. Now, what happens is the Earth gets light from the sun, and this is one type of energy. If the Earth was completely white, it would reflect it all back into space. But if the Earth was completely black, it would absorb the light. Black doesn't absorb heat, it absorbs light and turns that light into heat, which it then radiates out back into space. So it wouldn't matter whether the Earth was all black or all white. The energy in the Earth would stay completely constant.
But you don't get much heat from light.
Yeah, you get all heat. The sun doesn't give us heat, it gives us light, which is a very high energy form, a very high frequency form of energy, and then it radiates it as low frequency heat.
Look, excuse me, are you trying to tell me the sun isn't hot?
The sun, my other phone's going ham. The sun is very hot, but it's not giving us heat. It's giving us light. It gives us very, very little heat. It gives us a tiny amount of infrared, but heat doesn't travel far through space.
This is an entirely new hour, Matt, and I'm very grateful for you.
Well, trust me, I'm writing my thesis on this very topic.
And since your name is Matt, do you absorb more heat than if your name doesn't matter?
Well, that's not really an argument, is it, Tommy?
No, but it's a nice punchline to the hour. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Between 3 and 4, the psychiatrist will see you now. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. Comment too if you wish. Even slap your legs and make a purchase from Ann Summers. But don't do nothing.